Hi, my name is Michael Rich, and today I'll be showing you how to tie your own tie. Knowing how to tie your own tie is very important for wherever you go in life, whether you're working in an office where it's part of the dress code, or if you're going to general events throughout your life, such as weddings, dinner parties, birthday parties, anywhere where you want to show people that you have your best foot forward, you put some genuine attention into how you look, which is, again, respectful for the event you're going to or the person you're meeting. Now, the first step into figuring out how to tie your own tie is figuring out what kind of collar, or what kind of knot rather, you're going to need. This all depends on the size of your neck and the size of your collar. Now, if you have a wider neck, you're going to need a wider collar for proportion's sake, and of course, then you're going to need a wider knot to fill in that collar. Now, I have a rather thin collar here, so I'm going to be doing what's called a half Windsor knot. This is the most common knot, but if you do have a wider collar, you're going to want to have a wider knot, and because you're going to be using more material up here, you may consider getting a longer tie so that your tie doesn't end up being too short, because nobody wants to be caught wearing a tie that's too short. Now, the next step into figuring out what kind of tie is good for you is the width. Now, this can depend on a few things. The main one being if you're wearing a suit, it has to be proportional, or it should be proportional to the lapel. If you have thinner lapels, you're going to want a thinner tie. If you have a wider lapel, you're going to want a wider tie. Now, if you're not wearing a suit like I'm not right now, you're gonna want it to be proportional to your body. So if you have a bit of a wider body, you're gonna want a wider tie, and if you have a thinner body, again, you're gonna want a thinner tie. It's all about proportions. Now, the first step into actually tying your tie, now that you have the one you need, is figuring out the length. Now, this is incredibly important because it's gonna judge on what size your tie is at the end, and of course you don't want a tie that's too long, or you don't want one that's too short. So you should be aiming for the thinner side, which should be at your right, the thinner side to be about the height of your belly button. Now I like to have mine a little bit higher up, because I prefer my tie to hang a little farther down than a little farther up, because I feel like a longer tie looks better than a shorter tie. Now, the first step into actually tying the tie, make sure your tie is under your collar. It's easier to fix now than later. So, make sure everything is how it should be. Now, your first step into actually tying your knot is going to be, you're going to put the wide side of your tie, you're going to put it over the thin side. Now, always make sure to keep it flat over here on your knot, because if it gets messy, you're gonna have to redo your tie, because it's just not gonna look good. Now that you have it on your right side, what you're gonna do is you're gonna fold it underneath, put it to your left side like so. Now again, make sure everything's flat. You're gonna take the wide side of your tie, and you're gonna put it over into the hole, the loop, right here, like so. There we go. Make sure everything's flat, and your tie should be inside out now. Now, the next step is you're gonna take your tie, you're gonna put it to your right, like so, and swing it over. Make sure it's flat, like so. And we're almost done. Now what you're gonna do is you're going to take it, put it back through your loop, the original loop, and finally, you're gonna put it through the loop that we just made, right in front, like so. Now this is where you're gonna decide if you want it to be more flat, or if you want to have a little ridge in it. I like mine to be flat. That's how I'm having it. And finally, now that you have it how it should be, you have it nice and thin here, you're going to pull on the thinner side of your tie. You're going to bring it up onto your collar. Now you're going to want it to be under your tie to be under your collar, like so. Not too pushed up against your neck, because you don't want to have trouble breathing. And then you're going to take the thin side of your tie, you're going to put it through the little loop in the back to keep it still. And there you go. Your tie should meet right above your belt buckle. Thank you for your attention.